morning, folks, and welcome back to Wilderness Wargaming. Today, we're going to take a look at the last two faction focuses. We're going to go through the Imperial Agents and the Divergent Space Marine chapters faction focuses fairly quickly. Our last two, and we're rapidly getting close to the end now. The 10th edition core rules were made available today. I'm always a little behind other creators on these things. Because creating YouTube content isn't my main focus in life. I have two other things that I do for work, and so I'm a little bit slow. But we're going to get through this because, I think it's important to get the perspective of a person who is not really a pro-level Warhammer person, whether it's competition pro, painting pro, or even just making YouTube Warhammer content pro out there about this stuff. So let's get right into it. So this is going to cover the assassins, of course. I only own a Vindicare and a Calidus myself. I don't own an Eversor or a Calexis assassin. Just not as interested. The Calexis is just a little too specialized. And the Eversor I always thought was slightly silly. But I like the other two quite a bit. Now, unfortunately, I haven't been able to use them in 9th edition because I've never had the rules anywhere other than on Battlescribe, and I've just never quite managed to get them into a list. But I am planning on getting them on the tabletop in 10th edition, especially the Calidus, because I really like the way that she came out with my painting. She's one of my better painted models. All right, so we've also got Inquisitors here. Kyria Draxus, I have one of her. I also have Inquisitor Greyfax. These are the only two I own right now. I was hoping to get the two Forge World ones real quick when they realized they were going out of production, but I was not fast enough. All right, so you're going to be allowed a certain number of units based on the size of the battle. So one retinue and one character in the 1,000-point range games, Incursion 2, Strike Force 3 of each, and Onslaught. Not surprising, and you can't make Assassins your warlord. None of that's surprising. This is intended, though, with the retinue and the character to not make you choose between having the Inquisitor and having the retinue. So you could have an Assassin and an Inquisitor, and then have a retinue for the Inquisitor, and still have a retinue unit left over if you're playing a 2,000-point game. So let's look at the Vindicare, the sniper. This guy was the very first assassin to come out way back in 2nd edition. And for a while, everybody who was playing any kind of Imperial army had this guy. He was a real terror, and then the other assassins came out. The thing was, he also cost a ton of points, but he was incredibly obnoxious because he provided capabilities that other non-Imperial armies just didn't get. Fortunately, he was not all that good in melee, so I quickly figured, because I was playing what are now called craft worlds back then, that I could easily charge him basically anywhere on the board with Baharoth, who, although he had slightly not as good stats in melee back then, swords could do something called parrying, which could force your opponent to reroll one of his attack rolls. And because of the way the attack functions worked, that was enough to make Baharoth basically even match for the guy in hand-to-hand. And even if not, that could tie him up. So what does this guy got? Sorry, eyes are just a little bit itchy this morning. Okay, 7-inch move, unsurprising. Toughness 4, so he's as tough as a Space Marine. Assassins are all biologically enhanced in some manner. Not the same way as Space Marines. He's a normal-sized human, but all of them have physical capabilities far beyond a normal human, which is reflected in the toughness. Save 6 up, so he doesn't really get an armor save, unless it's, I don't know why you would ever use it. Wounds 4. Okay, it's a little lower than I thought. Leadership 6, objective control 1. And he's got the Exodus pistol and the Exodus rifle, both of which have devastating wound, ignore cover, and precision, so they can take out characters. Cover is of no use, and if they roll a critical hit, it's going to be mortals. And the pistol is going to be 3 attacks, ballistic skill 2, strength 5, AP -2, damage 3. The rifle trades out pistol for heavy. So if you keep him stationary, he's get a +1 hit. So that actually is going to cancel out any negative hit modifier he might experience. He only gets 1 shot with this. Basically anywhere on the board, 14 inches. Strength 7, AP -3, damage D3 +3. So this is going to, he's not going to do much against vehicles because he's going to have a hard time wounding them a lot of the time. Although if he rolls a 6, he gets devastating wounds and mortals on him. So there's some residual anti-vehicle capability with both weapons. But this guy is very, very deadly to characters because he can just basically snipe them out from anywhere he wants. Infiltrators, lone operative, stealth. You can't target him from more than 12 inches away. Assigned agents. He has a 4-up invuln save. I forgot I should have done that up there. Dead shot. Each time he makes a range attack, critical, so add 3 to the damage characteristics. So that's going to be D3 +6 on criticals. And then the unit has to take a battle shock test. So even if he's, you can be using him even against units where he might seem like ways you could battle shock them, take away their objective control. That could be very handy against units where it might take them a long time, like sniping, say, a Terminator brick that was occupying a center objective. If you can just battle shock them, maybe take their objective control away. Maybe a little bit of a Hail Mary play, since you have to roll 6 and get that critical hit, but not entirely impossible. Shield Breaker. Once per battle, selecting targets, you can fire Shield Breaker until the end of the phase. Each time a model makes no saving throws. So this is, it's only for that phase. Now, it's not for the whole rest of the battle or anything like that. It used to be, I believe, back in 2E, the Shield Breaker round would end their invulnerable saves for the entire battle. So it no longer ends it for the entire battle. It's only for the rest of that phase, but works against any saves at all. So you could use this guy against something that has a 4-up or a 3-up invuln. And then you can shoot at it with anything you want, and it can't make saves. And notice that you don't have to even hit. So because it's when selecting targets, it fires a shield breaker round. So that's in addition to the actual rifle shot. That's amazing ability. This is potentially devastating. This is a great way to take out some incredibly tough enemy unit. Even if it's not a character, even if it's like, say, a vehicle, or again, the aforementioned Terminator brick, you could turn off all their saves and just make them incredibly vulnerable to the rest of the army. That's potentially really, really, really good. Now you only do it for that phase. Even once, as soon as the charge phase comes back, boom, they're back on their saves again. So if there's anything left, we're in good shape. But this could really get around those. Oh, I only got 1. I hope he doesn't save. Oh, he rolled a 5. It made a save. He can really get around those moments. And I saved the melee weapon for last because this is new. He didn't have a combat knife before. It was only the pistol and the rifle. Unless he had one. Well, I didn't really look at the stats too closely in 90, but this is not something I remember from 2E at least. But now he has 4 attacks, weapon skill 2 up, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1. So he's not, brutal in melee, but he's got enough there that more minor squads are going to be rough on him, especially if that the other way around. If he's being charged by something just to tie him up, he's not going to stay tied up for long. For like a guardsman squad, or maybe even like a non-melee type aspect warrior squad. He's gonna be dishing something out against them. So if you want to tie him up, you should probably expect to take casualties doing so, especially if it's a smaller unit, like a squad of sisters. I mean, he's going to hit probably with 3 attacks against strength 4. He's going to wound him on 3, so he's going to get 2 wounds. He's going to easily, even a regular battle sister, he's easily kill 1 per round, probably more than that. All right, let's move on to the Inquisitor. This looks like it is a generic Inquisitor here. Movement 6 inches, toughness 3, so they're more normal humans. Save 4 up, wounds 4, leadership 6, and objective control 1. So a little less tough and slower than the assassin, but they're human, so unsurprising. They have a bolt pistol. That's funny. The thing looks a lot like a black powder pistol, but okay. 12-inch range, 1 attack. Yeah, we know what a bolt pistol does. Combi weapon. Anti-infantry, 4 up. Devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. So good, like a rifle select, generic rifle selection against infantry. Ballistic skill 3 up, strength 4. If you want to do damage 1. I'm a little surprised that Inquisitors are not ballistic skill 2. I feel like they should be very high. They're supposed to be individually formidable combatants, and they probably should be hitting on 2s. And they get a psychic attack. Devastating wounds, psychic, torrent. 2d6 attacks. Auto hitting. Strength 3, AP minus 1 damage. So this is good for them to deal with a lot of lesser opponents who should not be daring to challenge the Inquisitor. And it's appreciable range, too. It's not just some... You don't have to be that close. Inquisitor Meritorial melee weapons. Attacks 5, weapon skill 3, strength 4, AP minus 2, damage 1. Respectable. This is a little bit... Attacks 4, but weapon skill 2. I'd say this is about comparable to the Assassin's Combat Knife. Not bad. I would like the Inquisitor to be a little bit tougher. Now they also have force weapons, psychics they could use. So attacks 4, weapon skill 3, strength 5, AP minus 2, damage D3. So that's a little bit better, a little bit more formidable. Yeah, I really think that they should be weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, and then the rest of this would all be fine. But that's a reasonably minor. They have a 5-up invuln. Okay. Authority while leading unit can embark and transport. Its bodyguard unit can embark. So it can lead basically. You can put this thing in with a squad of Terminators. It can get in Land Raider. You can put it in with a squad of Sororitas. It can get into an Immolator. Good stuff. And each time you target this model with a stratagem, roll a d6 on a 3, you gain 1C. So he recharges CP. You could put this with a very big brick unit in the center that you plan on laying stratagems on all the time, and feed yourself back 2/3 of your command points. Well, 2/3 assuming all the stratagems are 1 command point, but let's see here. What else has he got? Blessed Wardings. Leading a unit. Models in the unit have 5 field up against mortal wounds. That is great for, again, protecting brick units against mortal wound attacks that get around their defenses. And it's a psyker. Okay. And they have grenades. Okay. This is very useful character. Let's see. Navy breaching team. I guess these are Navy ratings who are specialized in boarding actions. Now, ironically, in most other IPs in the world, you think of these roles being Marines, but since Astartes are the Space Marines, we can't call them that. So they're Navy breachers, which would be more like, call them naval infantry, which I believe is what the Russians call Marines. So Imperial Navy breachers or Imperial naval infantry, they're more like elite guardsmen that are a part of the Navy. Okay, you've got a sergeant armed shotgun. He can have a bolt auto pistol and a chainsword, or a bolt pistol and a power weapon. I think I know which one is the right choice there. Navis arms with las volley. They have las volleys, not las guns. They can have a melt-a-gun or a plasma gun. And Navis shotgun can be replaced with an auto pistol power weapon on 1 armsman. One can also have an auto pistol and a chain fist. Well, I guess you need that for breaching. That would be an incredibly useful tool. And one can be equipped with a demolition charge and grenade belt. So that's your demo expert. I'm sure that this reflects how they're used in Kill Team. I had an entire box of the Kill Team with these guys versus Tau, and I traded away at a very, very good value. I got about $150 in value for it for a $100 box. So I came out $50 to the good. Yeah, because people really wanted these breachers. They're cool, but I didn't want the Tau, and I wasn't that worried about the terrain. All right, let's see here. On the front, okay, auto pistols and bolt pistols, we know what this is. Demolition charge. Can use it once per battle. Assault, blast, hazardous, 1 shot, 6-inch range. Attacks D6 plus 3. Ballistic skill 4 up, strength 12, AP minus 2, damage 2. Given that you can only use this, well, it is D6 plus 3 attacks, so it isn't like you get 1 shot and you have a 50% chance of just outright missing with it. Even if you roll a minimal that's 4 attacks, you can hit with 2 of them. It's strength 12. This thing doesn't do a ton of damage, but it's a good way to either chip some wounds off a really tough vehicle, or if you're dealing with a big unit, again, brick units again seem to be coming up today, that blast could be very handy. Melt-a-guns, we already know what melt-a-guns do. We've talked about those in past videos, and I'm sure everybody's looked at them by now. If you haven't, I apologize. It's just I'm skipping over the weapons that we've seen on many other data sheets. If this is your first time, I encourage you to go back and look at those a little bit. But these weapons that we've talked about over and over. Heavy shotgun, an assault weapon. That's cool. 4 attacks. Wow. Ballistic skill 4, strength 4, AP 0. Shotguns and a thing called a shot cannon, which I'm not quite sure is really a cannon. I think it's the heavy shotgun's probably a better descriptor of it, are in games like Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader are a weapon, and they are really shotguns are very, very popular for shipboard actions. For the same reason that shotguns are common in building clearing in real life. But apparently they're also really, really good for demonic infestations when you have a flicker in your Yeller field and you have to have the officers and the breachers go to the arms room and draw out flamers and shotguns and sabers and start clearing bulkhead to bulkhead, which a big ship I would think could take weeks. Navis Las Volley sounds like, okay, 4, ballistic skill 4, strength 6, AP 0 minus. This sounds like to me like it's a laser shotgun, which is awesome. Navis shotgun assault range 12. It's a little longer range than the shotgun ones too. Only 2 attacks, but otherwise similar to the heavy shotgun. And a plasma gun, which is really about the same as 9th edition, except it's lost a pip of AP. This is also their longest ranged option here. These guys are intended to be a little more up close. I don't know if I would pay the points to have a plasma gun in the squad. I think I would probably stick with the closer ranged weapons, but I assume it's going to cost points. Okay, Chain Fist. This is incredible. The only place you really see Chain Fist is on Terminators. Anti-vehicle 3 up. Attacks 1, weapon skill 5. Whoa. That's not exactly reliable there, so you're going to want to have rerolls or something, or a +1 to hit. Strength 6, AP minus 2, damage 2. That I don't know that you want that. It just doesn't seem reliable enough. It sounds like something you're going to just miss with it every time, and it's only doing. Could be kind of good for tearing up tanks, but even then you're only getting 1 attack with it, so I don't know it's helped that much. Chainsword, attacks 3, weapon skill 4, strength 3, damage 1, close combat weapon, for nothing surprising there, and power weapon, nothing surprising there. We've seen those before. Reaching each model makes an attack reroll wound rolls of 1. Target enemy within range of an objective mark, you can reroll the wound roll instead. Okay, so that's going to be very helpful. You might have a hard time hitting, but you're not going to have a hard time wounding with these guys, especially on the higher strength weapons, because you might be wounding on 2s in some cases, and 3s in a lot of them, and you're going to reroll 1s, and if they're on an objective, rerolling them, yeah, once you get past that hit roll, definitely. Endurance shield. The bearer has a 4 invuln save. Why, though? Why is it not here? That data card seems like a misprint. The data card is missing the normal invuln. So if you have these guys, don't forget your invuln save. And if you are playing against them and you try to pull some, no, there's no invuln save down here. They don't have it. No, there's a rule right there saying, I know there's somebody out there that's going to pull that kind of stun of claiming because it doesn't have it in the right place. That doesn't count. Yes, it does. It's not up to you. If you're doing this in a casual game, you probably don't need to be playing casual games until you learn better. And if you're TO and making that call, you probably shouldn't be organizing tournaments. Sorry if I'm being a little aggressive there. I've been trying to be really upbeat on this channel, but there are some types of things I hear about people doing that I'm just like, no, I don't care if it's your tournament. You are not allowed to do that kind of thing. If you do, you should not be running tournaments ever again. Okay, sorry, rant over. Let's get on to Inquisitor Greyfax. Movement 6 inches, toughness 3, save 3 up, wounds 4, leadership 4, objective control 1. Never quite got around to using her yet, although I haven't had her for very long, and I need to repaint her. I was not happy with how my paint job on her came out. She looks sloppy, but I do I love her model, and I love her hat, especially her hat's amazing. Castigation. So this is her crossbow, Condemner crossbow type weapon. It's the same thing that the Sororitas have. 18-inch range, 1 attack, ballistic skill 3, strength 8, AP minus 2, damage 3. And it has anti-character 4, devastating wounds, precision, and psychics. She has a lot of this anti-character, anti-psyker stuff because she's all about taking out the big heretic. So her crossbow is actually a psychic attack, I believe. Unless this is supposed to be a psychic power. Maybe that's what it is. Then she has the stake for killing psychers, devastating wounds, precision, rapid fire 1. That's good, because you get within 12 inches, you get 2 shots at them. She's like the other Inquisitor, only goes 3, it's strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. So maybe hers is a custom version that only fires the spikes, in this version at least. And she has a mastercrafted power sword, which gives you the extra pip of damage. Let's see. She can, like any other, she can get in a transport with her bodyguard, regardless of what faction the bodyguard's from. And she gives the entire unit anti-psyker force. That's going to be great if you're dealing with an opponent that has a lot of psychers, especially thousands into Grey Knights. No escape. Within engagement range, selected to fall back. Must make a desperate escape test as if their unit was battle shocked. When doing so, if the enemy is also battle shocked by other means, subtract 1. Okay, so she kind of has that anti-fallback ability. I don't think this is going to be too common. I expect to see Drukhari, like witches and stuff, still having something similar, because that's always been kind of one of their things. But this is very handy if you can get in close and trap a target. Now, unfortunately, her mobility is not great, so you need to have some way to deliver her in order to do this. Either that, or you need to be doing it to an enemy unit that needs to be in the center. It's going to have a little bit more limited use case than you might think, just because she's not very fast. But it could be quite handy, especially if you could do something that's out of deep strike. That I can see there's definitely still plenty of uses for this. And of course, 5-up and vault safe, just like every other Inquisitor. And what do we have for the word from the studio? You could field an entire army of these electric warriors. I guess if you have ones that cost enough points, you could. I'm not quite sure how you can with the current rules. Let me check this out. Check this up here. Aren't designed to operate as a faction. You'll find no detachment strategy enhancements. So that's a little contradictory. Since they don't have those normal things, could find in our entire army these electric warriors. I guess you could do it with no detachment or army rules, but that seems silly. But I don't know that they did a good job explaining that here. I'm sure that they have some excellent books here, though, really good ones. And this one's kind of interesting because it's 2 assassins on a night world, and it's my 2 favorite ones. So I will definitely put this one on the list to read. I'm also a little the wording on the front has a little Star Wars vibe to it. All right, Titans are out. I'm not going to hit those right now, but we are going to go on to the Space Marine chapters here. And it looks like these are going to be Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Black Templars, and Death Watch. So not Ultramarines, strangely. Although Ultramarines are the ones that are the Codex Astartes, so in a way they're a little divergent, that they have units that, or at least have in the past had units that maybe even more adhering to the Codex Astartes. Probably not. They're kind of the baseline unit. I kind of feel like they probably should have given something to all of the first, like Raven Guard, Imperial Fists, Salamanders, and Iron Hands all should have gotten something as well. But even if it's only just a specialist detachment that they can take, but okay. All right. I'm sure that'll come out later when we start getting codexes. All right. Stars of our penultimate faction focus. So they had to wait till last because, of course, the Spotlight Hogs, the Ultramarines, are all over the first one. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not a huge fan of Ultramarines. Not because I don't like the chapter or the lore, but because they're Spotlight Hogs. Dark Angels. Oh, this is very cool looking. Is that a Deathwing Redemptor? I see. I don't know if this was already allowed or if it's something new. Somebody please let me know if I'm wrong in thinking this is new. But even if I am wrong, I have to say I've never seen one before, and that is really cool looking. All right, choosing instead excellence in all forms of war, and they like plasma a lot in swordplay. I don't, well, kind of. I don't know that they've ever been that devastating in melee, but they're not bad either, especially not with their 9E rules. So what do we have in 10E? Detachment rule, Grim Resolve. When Adeptus Astartes, Battle Shock change objective to 1 instead of 0. So you can't Battle Shock them off an objective. That's very handy and very thematic for them. I don't know that this is actually that good because you have to already be getting Battle Shock for any use, and all it really does is reduce the impact. It doesn't say you can still use stratagems on them, anything else. So all it really does is enhance your ability to hold on to objectives when you're Battle Shocked. So I think I would be somewhat disappointed with that if I was a Dark Angels player. The thing is, though, any Space Marine army can choose to use these detachments, provided they abide by the restrictions, no matter how much you want to taking Space Marine Psychers and a Righteous Crusaders detachment. So remember, this is not a Dark Angels detachment. It's just a Grim Resolve detachment. You don't have to take this. Oh, they retain the Oath of Moment, too. Okay. Huh. Okay. I'm a little confused here. So I think you can choose to take your Dark Angels with the regular Space Marine rules, or you can even take them with the Blood Angel. There's nothing really there. The only thing is you might not be able to use special characters or certain other units if you don't take the right detachment rule. I think that's probably how it's going to work. Okay, what do we hear? The Deathwing Command Squad. Now, the Deathwing have become very confusing to me. Back in the day, in 2nd edition, you had Deathwing Terminators, but there were just Deathwing Terminators. And of course, there were Deathwing. You could have Captain and Terminator armor could be in the Deathwing, or Chaplain, or Librarian, although they wouldn't paint them in the bone. The Captain would paint them in the bone white, the other two wouldn't. But you didn't have Deathwing Command Squads, you didn't have Deathwing Knights, you didn't have any of that stuff. You just had Terminators, and Terminator squads could mix and match the melee Lightning Claw, Thunderhammer options in with the ranged plus Power Fist options. And now Deathwing just come in all different kinds of varieties. So you can have any number can have Lightning Claws or Thunderhammers. So that's like the old way of doing things, where you can mix and match. Any number can have their Power Fist replaced with a Chain Fist. I don't know if that's as useful as it used to be. You probably want some of each, the way the Chain Fist looks in the new version. For every 5 models, you can have an Assault Cannon, Heavy Flamer, Plasma Cannon, Stormbolter, or Cyclone Missile Launcher. And you cannot replace the Stormbolter. And it can have a little Watcher in the Dark to follow around, which I love the Watchers in the Dark. They're probably my favorite thing about the Dark Angels. They have these little Jawa-looking guys following around that nobody quite knows what they do. Also, I do like that you can put plasma cannons in Terminator squads. I could totally see having a ranged Terminator squad with a big one with a couple plasma cannons, just to sit in the back and hose shots across the board and just be an incredible annoyance. Maybe overwatching the center objective and not while somebody else is occupying it. You could probably do that with assault cannons too, but I don't know. Plasma cannon I could see some play for it maybe. Okay, they have a Deathwing Ancient, an Apothecary, a Champion, and 2-7 Command Terminators. Okay. Now it says any number of command. Okay, so Deathwing Command Terminators. So these guys are the ones that have to replace their weapons. The Ancient gets a Stormbolter and Power Fist. The Apothecary gets a Stormbolter and a Chain Fist. Interesting. And the Deathwing Champion gets the Halberd of Caliban, which that is very, very cool. I like the Halberd a lot. I love my Halberd Sacrosancts in my sisters. I like the maces, but I love the halberds. And the command terminators by default have the typical default. And you can attach characters if they can be attached to a normal Terminator squad. Okay. Assault cannons. I think we've looked at these before. Most of these, they are not particularly different. This is the plasma cannon. The plasma cannon is not really different from its current iteration. Hasn't really lost AP. Still has the overcharge. It is D3 attacks. That's D3 attacks is something that always seems to be a little unreliable. I would rather just have 2 attacks, but I mean, sometimes that's the way the ball bounces. Heavy flamer, no particular change there. Okay, and the change, we've looked at most of these before. Power weapon, that's the one guy that always has the power. So the sergeant has the power sword, which is actually not as good, although it hits more accurately than some Thunderhammer. Yeah, more than that. Or it did in the last edition. Now it doesn't so much anymore. It gets more attacks than a power fist or a chain fist, so there's its advantage. Or a Thunderhammer. Lightning claws get the most twin length, so the lightning claws will be rerolling wounds. But then you can't shoot. I'm rambling a little bit. Okay, Halberd of Caliban, precision. So you can target, if you get into melee, you can target an enemy character right off the bat with your halberd. 5 attacks, weapon skill 3 up, strength 6, AP minus 2, damage 2. So a pretty respectable anti-character ability there. They get the Oath of Moment faction. While this unit contains an apothecary in your command phase, you can return 1 destroyed model of this unit. Okay, so as long as you have the apothecary, you can keep bringing back your guys. Now, I don't think the apothecary counts as a character. So if you have the precision ability on, like, say, that Vindicare Assassin, you can't just snipe out the apothecary because he's a squad member. He's not a character. Ancient, add 1 to the objective control characteristics of his model, so you'd be a minimum objective control of 10 as long as you have the Ancient. And Honor or Death, a company champion, add 1 to advance and charge rolls. Heroic intervention stratagem. Okay, and anybody that has a Storm Shield has a wounds characteristic. So now the Storm Shield adds an extra wound. Like it. And they have a 4-up invuln across the board. Okay. And let's take a look at the Lion and how he's going to look in 10th edition, because we just had his 9th edition data sheet not that long ago, and the general consensus seemed to be he was awesome in melee offensively, but his defenses were mediocre. His shooting was pretty sad, given how powerful he is, but he's not a shooting character, so that wasn't too much of a problem. But yeah, he had a little glass cannon vibe going on. So now he has 8-inch move, toughness 9. It's almost as tough as a tank. Save 2 up, wounds 10, leadership 5, objective control 4. He has the Aura Luminous. He has a bolt and a plasma. The bolt pistol is very much like a normal bolt pistol, except it's damage 2, and he has the plasma version, which only has 2 shots, but strength 8, AP minus 3, damage 2. So I guess he can fire it in either mode. So normally you can only fire 1 pistol per turn. Okay. Fealty, strike, lethal hits. So he has lethal hits, and then he has the sweep, sustained. It's the same weapon. So on his armor piercing profile, basically, he's going to be 8 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 12, AP minus 4, damage 4. And when he's sweeping, he's going to be at 16 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 6, AP minus 3, damage 2. Okay, so that'll give him enough, even against the Chaos Marines. That'll be 2 wounds per model. He will just be slicing right through him. He'll be wounding him on 3s, making him save on 6s, and killing 1 every time. 16 attacks. This is a better sweep, and sustained hits 1, so at 16 attacks, statistically, you're going to expect 2 to 3 extra hits. You're probably going to drop about, so you're going to basically average out to about 16 hits every single time, since you're hitting on 2s. And something tells me you're going to probably be able to reroll 1 somehow, especially if you've Oath of Momented. Ooh! Okay. All secrets revealed once per turn when your opponent from there targets the unit with a stratagem, but before the stratagem's effective results, the unit is told, so you gain 1 CP, and that enemy unit must take a battle shock test. If the test is failed, in addition to being battle shocked, the stratagem's effects are not resolved. Wow. Okay, so that basically he has a no stratagems in this zone. Now, assuming that the enemy unit is targeted, if your army is the target, this doesn't work. But if you can keep get him close to an opponent's, say, brick unit that's going to be the target of a lot of stratagems, or something that's just always the target of a lot of stratagems. Like supposing you're dealing with knights, where any unit could be worth using them on. This could be harsh, because you could actually not just stop their stratagem, but force them into battle shock, and you gain a CP. That's amazing. Martial Exemplar. While a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in the... So notice that he is himself an Adeptus Astartes, so he's within 6 inches of himself, of course, so he can also reroll one. Okay, so you're probably looking at about 19 hits then. 19 to 20 hits with the sweep. And no hiding from the Watchers. While a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, models that feel no pain 4 up against mortal wounds. Okay, so again, he has a 4 up, feel no pain against 4 mortal wounds, and he gives it to his bodyguard, who you're always going to take this guy with some bodyguard. Deep Strike, fight first, Oath of Moment. Primarch of the First Legion. And you get to select. So you select one of these each turn. You don't have all of these going on all the time. You select one. Just like Reboot Gilman did. I should have realized that. Emperor's Shield. Each time an attack targets his model, subtract 1 with this wound roll. And he's also, it's toughness 9. So a melee attack on unmodified saving throw of 6. The attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So, okay, so he dishes mortals back. The shield now adds reducing wounds in addition to dish. That was the big problem with his defenses in the 90s, was that he did deal mortals back, which didn't do anything to keep him alive, but could at least cause him to punish you a little bit for attacking him. Now it basically does both. While the model is in 3 inches of one or more of the Adeptus Astartes units, this model has the lone operative ability. Okay. And a 3-up invuln save. A 3-up invuln. Okay. So don't get him targeted by a Vindicare, because that's not going to go good if you're taking away these beautiful, beautiful saves that he has. But this guy is going to be tough. Moving on. Okay, Space Wolves. They have deeds worthy of Saga. At the end of each battle round, you can select the Saga, and then you get the benefit for the rest of the battle. So the Warrior Born. If a character, one of your characters destroys an enemy character's, you get sustained hits in melee. If you control an objective marker in your opponent's deployment zone, now you get +1 objective control to all your models. It's by models, not units. Saga of the Bear. Okay. So amazed it's not the wolf. When we're reduced to below half their starting number of wounds, but we're not destroyed. Then you get Feel No Pain 6-up. Okay. And Saga of the Beast Slayer. Saga's completed one. Monster or vehicle units during the battle round. Benefit when completed. Melee weapons have the lethal hits. Then you're going to automatically wound with melee. Okay, this is interesting, because so you're basically assuming you could have all of these in turn 5 if you achieved one at the end of each of the previous turns. But other than that, but you're going to have to pick. So you're going to go through the battle not having all of these, but having an increasing number of these things. But you can tailor it based on how the battle is going. So you can decide based on the progress of the battle which one you want first. Okay, let's see, what have we got? Hounds of Mordecai. This is one of their elites. I think these guys are kind of similar to Blade Guard veterans. I'm not too sure. Or maybe they're more like Reavers. Their helmets kind of imply that. Okay, 6-inch move, no surprise. Toughness 4, save 3, wounds 2, leadership 6-up, objective control 1. A Mordecai bolt pistol, which is a bolt pistol with -1 AP. And a Mordecai combat. Yeah, these guys are definitely Reavers. They got that combat knife thing. Attacks 4, strength, weapon skill 3, strength 4. So not that devastating, but they have a lot of attacks. They have a pregame move, Oath of Moment, of course. In your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit. Lieutenant and Reaver arm, yeah, definitely Reavers. In this unit, you can select one with 18 inches. So you want to put a lieutenant with them, probably. Must take a battle shop test. Subtracting 1 if it's a psyker. If that site test has failed, the addition to being battle shock unit is stunned. While you just stunned, a model uses a psychic attack, strike 1 with the unit. So this has a pretty potent anti-psyker capability. And it has a 6-up invuln that goes with 4-up against psychics. Yeah, definitely psyker hunters. Okay. Blood Angels, they get the Red Thirst. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to fight, the unit charge mate, it gets +1 strength and attacks. So that's a fairly typical type of melee detachment rule, and suitable for them. Death Company Intercessors. So this is, I guess this is probably, well, these are Death Companies, so we can't assume regular Intercessors are going to look like it. You got a grenade launcher, frag, and crack. These are fairly typical stats. Ballistic skill 4, strength 4, AP 0, and the crack is strength 9, AP minus 2 damage D3, but it only gets one shot. Okay. A bolt pistol, yeah, no surprise. Bolt rifle, attacks 2, ballistic skill 4. So this is basically a bolt gun with 1 point of AP. Hand flamer, this is a standard hand flamer, the strength 3, not the strength 4 version the sisters get. Heavy bolt pistol, heavy bolt pistols are great, because they go out to 18-inch range. Attacks 1, ballistic skill 4, strength 3, AP minus 1, damage 1. Plasma pistol, standard plasma pistol, nothing new there. Chainsword, close combat weapon, power fist, power weapon, thunderhammer. These are all weapons we've looked at before. No surprises here. No changes to the ballistic skill. No special modifications, AP or damage. Let's see, what else have these guys got? 6 up, feel no pain, oath of moment, black rage. Each time he makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll. Okay, so they have full reroll hits. Not within 12 inches of a friendly chaplain. It cannot be selected to fall back, and it has no objective control. Okay, so that's how the Death Company is going to work. So you basically have to commit with these guys, and they need to have that chaplain, which is how they're supposed to work. Visions of Heresy. Once per turn, you can target these units with fire, Overwatch, or heroic intervention for 0 CP. Oh, you could keep doing that once per turn, so they can do that all game long if they want to. So nothing really blowing the world away on the stats, but they have some nice special abilities here that make them more. And notice they don't need the chaplain to get the hit rerolls. They only need that to keep their objective control and be able to fall back. Then we have Gabriel Seth, who's from Flesh Terror Space Marines, a successor of the Blood Angels. This guy has become, I think, kind of a fan favorite. I've seen a couple of people getting excited about him, and he definitely is, let's just say, a strong advocate for successor chapters getting their due. He has no war gear-ups. He's an epic hero. He has a bolt pistol and blood reaver's gigantic hawk and chainsword that he carries around. For some reason, I always think that he's a Terminator. I just picture him in Terminator, but he's not actually a Terminator, which I know. I wasn't confused about that. It's like a brain bug I have. He can be attached to an assault, command, tactical, or Vanguard veteran squad. Except the Vanguard veterans almost always have jump packs, and he doesn't. And unfortunately, you can't give him one. Model from the Flesh Terrors, successor with Blood Angels, is treated as a Blood Angels, but can include an army that includes any other Blood Angels epic heroes. Okay. So basically, you probably can't mix him in with like Dante, or maybe some of the other named characters, depending on which ones are epic heroes. I assume some of the lesser ones will not be, so that you could put them in there, but then you could just give them a different name and pretend that they're somebody other than Brother, whatever their name is. Okay. He's 6-inch move, toughness 4, save 3 up, wound 6, leadership 6, objective control 1. He has a bolt pistol, which is nothing exciting. Blood Reaver, which gives him sustained hits 1. He has 6 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 8, AP minus 2, damage 3. So he's going to basically always convert his 6 attacks, because sustained hits work on a 6, and statistically with 6 attacks you're going to miss 1, and you're going to get 1/6. So that works out to the same as if you just hit with all of them. Now that's on average. It can go better or worse, but that gives you a lot of reliability there. This is a reasonably strong attack, and it does enough damage to take out a model like a Terminator or a Custodian with each hit. Damage 3. Leader, Oath of Moment, Lord of Slaughter. While his model is leading a unit, that unit is eligible. He can advance and charge. Okay, that's great, because this guy is not fast. He's got kind of the same problem as the Inquisitor we looked at earlier. He moves only 6 inches, and he cannot take a jump pack like a Vanguard veteran squad can. However, you could put him with an assault squad and then advance and charge with that assault squad. If you had a foot, like I think assault intercessors and assault squads are probably get rolled into the same thing. So an assault intercessor squad that previously didn't have jump packs will now just become a non-jump pack assault squad. You put it with them, and the ability to advance will help to remedy his relatively low speed and theirs. Same thing with Vanguard veterans, although I don't know how many people are running around with Van Vets that are not jump packs, but I guess you could probably use the assault intercessors as a Vanguard veteran squad. Okay, in Whirlwind of Gore, each time a model fights until the fighter add onto the attack characteristics of the model's blood or for every 5 enemy models within 6 inches of the model. So he's got to be great against large units. Like if you're fighting orcs or something like that, he's going to get more attacks. And then he gets sustained hits. So that could spike him up in terms of number of hits even more. And then, of course, he's got Oath of Moments. He's going to be rerolling. That really means he's probably going to be converting all 7 attacks most of the time. Yeah, he's a blender. Yeah, watch the heads fly. Yeah, or guardsmen, or even a big glob of sisters. Yeah, could get ugly fast. Okay, Black Templars. So they can take a vow. It's like one of the 4 before, and it's active. Okay, so they get 5 to pick from, which is no, I'm sorry, 4 to pick from. I can't count. Suffer not the unclean to live. Melee weapons have lethal hits. Excellent. Uphold the honor of the Emperor. Models in this unit have the Feel No Pain 6-up ability and leadership characters of 5. Handy. Abhor the Witch Destroyer. The models in this unit have 4-up invulnerable save against Psychic, and this model have anti-Psychic 4. Accept any challenge no matter the odds. It's a sustained hit. So this is pretty good. I suppose if you're fighting something that's going to be constantly battle shocking you or dishing out mortals, especially non-psychic mortals, you're going to want this one. If you're dealing with a psychic army or one that just has a lot of psychers, you're going to want this one. And if you're dealing with something like, again, like orcs and other armies that maybe have Tyranids, you're going to maybe want this one. But I have a feeling that this one, the lethal hits, this is going to be your default choice. If you're not sure if you take any of them, I think I would take this one, lethal hits, because just bypassing that wound roll some of the time is very, very handy. It adapts well to any target. It helps against anything. And let's see. They've got Mirror Sword Brethren. Okay. Movement 6, toughness 4, save 3, wounds 3, 6, objective control. As an aside, I can never remember. Black Templars, other than the fact that they can't take librarians, are pretty normal Space Marines, but they have these weird, the Crusader squads that have different types in them. I can never remember which one is which, and I can't remember exactly what Sword Brethren are supposed to be the same as. I think they're kind of similar to Vanguard veterans, but they have 3 ones, or maybe Blade Guard veterans. They're like a Blade Guard veteran that maybe does not have a shield, kind of, sort of. I'm not sure. I do love how I love Black Templars models. I love how the Black Templars army looks, and they are. If I weren't doing salamanders, they would probably be my top choice for a different Space Marine army for paint scheme. Okay. Ranged weapons, combi weapons, anti-infantry 4, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1, 1 attack. Okay, this is pretty typical combi weapon stuff. It looks like they're combi plasmas there in the picture. Heavy bolt pistol, we've looked at that before. Plasma pistol, we've looked at that before. And a pirate pistol. This is basically a Ministorum hand flamer, because it's just like the hand flamer, but it's +1 strength, just like the hand flamer that the sisters get. Except they call it a pirate pistol instead of a Ministorum one, because they are Space Marines and they are not under the Ministorum. And even though they're very down with the Ministorum, they're not part of it, and they probably wouldn't want to imply that they were. Okay, then they have Astartes Chainsword, attacks 5 with it on this guy. Weapon skill 3, strength 4, AP -1, power weapon, mastercrafted, attacks 4, weapon skill 2 up. I wonder why the Chainsword is only a 3 up. Or could this be a misprint? Maybe. Strength 5, AP -2, damage 2. Regular power weapon. This probably goes in the squad leader, sergeant. Nothing different there. More attacks though. Or the Thunderhammer only has 3 attacks. So 4 up, strength 8, AP -2, damage 2. And they get, in addition to the moment, they get Vow, Sword, Blades. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one of the effects to attack with melee. Until the end of the phase, you can have to add 1 to attacks or add 1 to damage. I think most of the time, pardon me. I think most of the time I would add 1 to the attacks over the damage, especially if you're doing things like Thunderhammer. That's going to help overcome the statistical weakness of the weapon skill. Maybe add 1 to damage for the Mastercrafted power weapon if this is accurate here and not a misprint. We know there's misprints because we already saw one unit that was lacking the proper invul and save tag down here. All right, and the Death Watch, who fortunately look very much like the Black Templars, the same paint, black with the red. And then Raven Guard don't look all that different. These guys have this silver arms, but okay. Best of the brightest for the Space Marine chapter for dedicated Xenos hunting. Yeah, I don't like. That's the thing I don't like about it. Like Space Marines want to give up their best and brightest. I always got the impression it was more like the best and brightest who also were maybe a little bit too independent, and they like the Death Watch is more maybe freewheeling style. So we've got a Black Spear Task Force. That's cool. That'd be a good chapter name in and of itself. Command phase, you can select one of the mission tactics below until the next command phase. That mission tactic is active in its effects. So this is just like the Space Wolf one, except that you can change it. Sure, instead of getting all of them over the course of the battle. Okay, so you have Führer tactics. This is sustained hits. It's not just in melee though; it's everything. Malleus tactics. Everything gets lethal hits. Pergoddus tactics. Precision ability. Wow, that's good. I have a hard time seeing which one would be the default one. I think it would probably be the Führer a lot of the time. But maybe Pergoddus. If your opponent has a lot of characters, you could, or even if they don't have a lot of characters, this could be great. You could take those out quickly. All right, Death to the Alien. Okay. Bolt gun, nothing new there. Frag cannon. Blast heavy, rapid fire, D3. Okay. So they get D3 attacks, and then if they're in half range, within 9 inches, they're going to get D3 shots per shot. So it's D3. I would venture to guess that about doubles your number of shots on average. Ballistic skill 4, strength 7, AP -1, damage 2. So very solid anti-infantry. Infernus heavy bolter. It's heavy, sustained hits 1. I think this is an extra pip of AP and more damage if you're using over a regular heavy bolter. And this is the Infernus heavy bolter. And the heavy, I guess it has a heavy flamer mode. So maybe the same weapon. Yeah, the same weapon can be either a bolter or a flamer. 12-inch. This, of course, it ignores it's a torrent weapon. Strength 5, AP -1, damage 1. It's a normal heavy flamer, but it's part of a heavy bolter. I don't remember if heavy flamers lost their or normally have a pip of AP on them or not. Long range vigil weapon, anti-infantry 4, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. Okay, 24 inches isn't particularly long ranged, but I guess maybe that's compared to the regular vigil weapon. 1 attack, 4 up, strength 4, AP 0. Okay, that's a weird one. This is a very unimpressive stat line over here, but it has a lot of abilities that maybe make it a little bit more destructive, but I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. That's a weird one. And missile launchers. Blast, heavy. This is a typical missile launcher. Nothing new here. Close combat weapon. That's exactly what you'd expect. Long vigil melee weapon. I'm going to skip over the Thunderhammer for just a second. Attacks 3. Weapon skill 3. Strength 5. AP -2. Damage 1. It's supposed to... I'm not sure what makes it long. I guess just how it's shaped. That's weird. I'm surprised they didn't give it a more descriptive name. I'm very, very unfamiliar. I've never run across a Death Watch army. And the Death Watch were not a thing when I was playing way back years and years ago. So I'm a little unfamiliar with some of these more esoteric things that they're carrying around. The Death Watch Thunderhammer. I think this is just a... Hold on, let's take a look back up here. Strength 8. This is just a stronger Thunderhammer. And... yeah, it does 1 more point of damage. 4 attacks, 3 up weapon skill, strength 5, AP -2, damage 1. Alright. Well, that's... And they have... Bear has a 4-up invuln save. I don't know if they all get this, because we don't see the back of the card here, so we can't tell what everybody gets or how many of each thing you can have. But you can give at least somebody 4-up invuln. It doesn't have the unit having the whole thing, so it's obviously not the whole unit walking around with these things. But it's not clear if you could just put this on the sergeant or what. Okay. Well, that is it for the Imperial Agents and the Divergent types of Space Marine. Apparently there's one for Titans, which I will do. On the one hand, I'm kind of dying to see what's in that. On the other hand, I dread it. There's a meme going around which is basically a picture of a Titan leg in a combat patrol box and nothing else, and it says Combat Patrol Titans on it. So, I think I know what we're in for. I'm not quite sure what's going on with this. If they're just trying to get people to buy more, if they're ridiculously overpriced Titans that from Forge World or what. But we'll take a look at that in another video. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment down below, and click the notifications bell for more great content from Wilderness Wargaming. And we'll see you back here very soon.